Moving on to the short story, like I mentioned, the protagonist, the narrator, she gives birth to a child. The story opens with this idea. Our narrator has given birth to a child and she is suffering from postpartum psychosis. Her husband, a character that has a name, her husband John, who happens to be a doctor, is the one taking care of our narrator. So she is going through this postpartum psychosis and she is asked to undergo rest cure, let's say, uh, by the same doctor who had treated Gilman initially. So this doctor asked her to go through rest cure, take complete rest. And the narrator, like our author, is also a writer, and she's interested in writing entries, journal entries and all, but she is forbidden from doing that since she is going through postpartum psychosis. So the plan is to stay in this house, which is completely isolated. You can't find any civilization near to this house. They have to stay in this particular house for 3 months. That is what the doctor has insisted. So you can find that she, our narrator, is completely isolated from the people in the house as well. The child, John, and John's sister is also there along with these people. So she does not have much interaction and she is asked to stay all alone, lie down. That is what has been instructed. Now, when you look at this house, like I mentioned, it's a house completely isolated from civilization. It's an old house, a mansion, and there are two stories to it. And the narrator is staying in the the first floor or upper floor of the house, and when they initially came to this house, she wanted to live in the ground floor in a room where she can see the garden and all, but her husband says no, you are supposed to stay in that particular room. So this setting also gives us an understanding of the relationship between the husband and the wife, how he is controlling. She wants to be in one particular room, he denies it. She doesn't want to live in a room filled with yellow wallpaper, again he denies it. So this, the setting also gives us an understanding of the relationship between the husband and the wife. Now, speaking about the narrator, like I mentioned, she suffers from postpartum depression, and this is a condition which is not acknowledged by anyone during that time. People had limited understanding of what depression was, what mental health was. So, even John was not ready to understand the situation that she was going through. You can see that as the story progresses, her dislike for the wallpaper also transitions. There is a change. So, the first part, we get to know that she feels something strange about the wallpaper and also about the room in which she is. So, she talks about how the windows are barred. You can see that it's like, we are getting an understanding that she is like in a prison cell. She is forced to stay in that prison cell. And then there is this yellow wallpaper. In the opening lines of the story itself, we get to see that the narrator talks, or there is a statement that the narrator makes, there is something strange about this house. So initially she feels, even in the beginning itself, she feels something strange about this house. She does not accept it as a home. So then about the wallpaper, she first feels it to be patchy, the designs, she talks about how it doesn't look neat and all. So that is how she starts describing the wallpaper. Later, you can see a transition happening. Then she feels that there is something moving behind the wallpaper. Suddenly, there is something moving behind the wallpaper, something bulging out from the wallpaper. So later, that transitions into a woman stuck inside that wallpaper. So she says that as the light comes from the window, the bars of the window, it reflects the shadows of the window bars are there on the wallpaper, and it seems like there is a woman stuck inside this wallpaper, trying so hard to get out of it, trying so hard to free herself from this prison cell that she is in. And now it is at this point you are able to make comparison, one is able to make comparison with the narrator and the woman behind that wallpaper. We know that there is no woman stuck inside it, it is just her imagination, but even then, it is kind of a reflection of what she is going through. what the narrator is going through. She also feels the same thing, that she is stuck behind this wallpaper. She is finding it hard to free herself from this wallpaper. So that is the understanding we get from here. So there is that gradual change in her behavior as well, gradual transition. So earlier she felt that there was something monstrous behind the wallpaper, but later towards the end you can see that she's ripping apart the wallpaper, trying to free that woman, trying so hard to free that woman from behind the wallpaper. And at one point of time, the narrator identifies herself with that woman. She feels that she is that woman, and the act of tearing that wallpaper, or the act of ripping that wallpaper, is in a way how the narrator is trying to free herself. We can understand that she is also going through that same situation, so she is also trying to free herself from that wallpaper. So the attempt of tearing and ripping apart that wallpaper is in a way to free herself from the constraints of her husband, or this idea put forward by the patriarchal society, that she has to be in complete rest to get out of the situation. So that is what happens towards the end of the story. Like it is mentioned here, the narrator identifies with the figure she imagines trapped within the wallpaper, symbolizing her own desire for liberation from her restrictive life and societal expectations. So that is about the narrator. Now, it is very much important to discuss the character of John as well. Now, John, her husband, he is a physician, a doctor, and he also considers rest cure to be the perfect treatment for her condition. And you can see that at times he is quite patronizing as well. He is not ready to listen to the concerns of his wife. Like I mentioned in the introductory part, she wants to be in that room facing the garden, but he denies it. He wants her to be in that particular room with that yellow wallpaper. Starting from there, she even starts having conversations with him about the wallpaper, how she feels something strange about it. But he completely denies it, and he says that everything is inside your head. And sometimes, he calls her little girl, trying to give least importance to what she is saying or her emotions. So that is the character of John. And there is one particular statement where she says that John is working, and late night sometimes he doesn't come home because because the patients are more important to him. Their condition is more serious, and thankfully my condition is not that serious. So it is all in that tone that she speaks about him as well. So when she says that, you can see when she talks about John, first beginning part of the story, we find that there is some sort of love, there is some sort of affection for him, that also transitions. So there is a change later, and you can find that she starts hiding things from John. She doesn't want to talk to John. She doesn't have the same intimacy with him. So this is how the transition in their relationship can also be seen in this particular story. So when the story comes to an end, you can see that she's ripping apart all the wallpaper. Where she locks herself inside, she throws the key out from the window. And when John is trying to open the door, she denies opening it, and she instructs him to get the key. He finds the key, he opens it, and he is shocked to see the narrator, crawling here and there, trying to climb upon the walls. She has ripped apart the wallpaper. So this is that extreme way in which the character is presented, the peak of that psychosis, state of psychosis. And John, at this point, he faints. He's not able to tolerate it. So you can see this ending is also an irony, because in the first part of the story, he was trying to call her a little girl and not give any importance to what she was saying, and trying to patronize her, saying that everything is inside your head, you are overreacting. But at this point, he seems to be the one who is not able to take it, and he just faints. His inability to deal with the emotions that his wife is going through is what is revealed towards the end of the story. So this is the basic understanding, basic idea presented in this story. So, like I mentioned, this story deals with the idea of rest cure, uncanny, and postpartum psychosis. And through the character of the narrator, we get an understanding of what was the condition of women during that particular period of time. Thank you.